So I'm going to section his hair out because I don't want to start cutting up into the length of his hair up in the top. I'm going to want it to blend nice and naturally, right? Then I'm going to go through his hair for inconsistencies. Maybe he has like a mole or something like that. I see where his line is, right? Then I'm going to comb it forward. And everything that comes past that line is coming off. He's got about, what, almost a year? I remember while you're doing this, you're taking a lot of caution, you know. Especially with fine hair like his, the ridges on his teeth. Say when I pick his hair up right here, and I'm doing clipper over comb, the hair just kind of falls, right? But when I pick this comb up right here, everything stands out. Can you see the difference already in that? I face the comb down, like that, with the teeth pointed down. I'm going to get up under there, right behind the ear, flip it up, and that's going to pull my guideline out. So let's go ahead and we'll start with this side now.
Are you saying Celia Cruz is not good?
Hey, you know what? Say whatever you want about Celia Cruz. Remember, being careful with the ear. The machine is designed in a way, it's not all of them are, but sometimes you gotta be able to manipulate your machines, you know? Being able to rock it, you know, with those natural flows, with those natural arches of the head and the ear. So we're going to go and we're going to come up over, back. Be careful because, you know, especially these kind of machines, they bite, you know. Can everybody tell me the difference between a magnetic and a rotary machine?
One you could do wet and one you could...
A magnetic and a rotary machine.
No.
No?
One you could...
It's the motor. This is what we call a magnetic machine. If you open up this case right here, it's going to have a coil wrapped around, and that's where the energy, where the electricity flows, and it makes the moving blade move, and so on. A rotary machine has a kind of like cogs and wheels and stuff like that, and it's a stronger cut. You know, when you use like a number 2 on this, it doesn't cut all the hair because the teeth are really spaced out. You know, that's why you bring in the rotary machine to knock down bulk. You know, and these are just some of the things that we'll be teaching you within the class. It's like, all right, what kind of machines work for what kind of hair, for what kind of haircuts, you know? These are a lot of the little, you know, ins and outs of the barbering booth, you know? So we're going to follow that guideline. You're going to lift the hair, right? And everything that falls out comes off. It's just like within hair cutting, within shear cutting. The only difference is that you're using a machine now.
The way that you would use that flat top fading comb, you guys would kind of benefit from it because you guys are used to using your angles like 45 and 90 and all that stuff. And basically that's just a smaller scale of doing that, you know, pivoting this on the head and whatnot.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So now we've got both sides kind of knocked down with that little angle right there, right? Now we're going to go into, so right now he's got kind of what, like a little mullet going on, right? Business in the front, party in the back, right? You know.
How far to pull the comb from the head to give a proper line?
Good question. Everybody's hair type is different. Like I said, remember we're gauging hair type. So I'm not going to cut it. Right now we're going for a regular gentleman's cut. So if I cut it, like say on my hair, if I cut, the reason why I have my hair long is because if I cut it short, I'm going to look like a microphone. It's going to be just all round. You know what I mean? I have the Mexican afro. That's what it is. And you got to be able to tell that within the hair type. This is something we'll be going over also within the classes. You can't, you don't want them walking out with a haircut that doesn't look good, you know what I mean? And they're coming for you for style. You are the final word. on what it is that they want. Now in the back, usually people would go ahead and knock it down. Me, I just cut straight to the point. In the back, you don't want a ledge when you square them off or anything like that, or if you want to taper it out, you don't want a ledge like and then haircut, right? So in the back, I usually knock it all the way straight down, right? So all of this right here is coming off. And like I said, this isn't, what I'm showing you right here isn't an exact science. This is experience right here. Now I'm not, you know, like Kev said, and I'll say it again, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So right now I'm coming up.
With all haircutting, you really want to try to economize movement. Do things as quickly as possible to get to point A to point B, because time is money. So he talked about rotary and magnetic machines. If he was in the shop, he would have got his rotary machine and he would have just knocked out all the weight so that he could do the haircut.
If I was, but this is more like we said, this is more of the artistic, you know what I mean, way. This allows for movement within the haircuts. This allows for, you know, the person's individual style right here. This clipper over comb.
And you guys have all heard of shear-over-comb, right?
Yeah.
This is just, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Same thing. But the difference between the shear-over-comb and the clipper-over-comb is what? There was a study that they were doing, and they found that within your haircut, does anybody know about the percentage of what a stylist's clientele, male clientele is? It's going to be about 30%. 30% of your income, of your revenue that you're going to be doing within the shop is going to be male haircuts. So let's just make a round number, $100,000 or $70,000. You know,
it should be 30%. That's what it should be. It's not what it is, and that's why we're here, because it's not. Everybody, it should be 30%. It should be 30%.
okay, should be. That's what you should be pulling in, right? So now, right here, what I've got, general shape, not pretty, not. A lot of times, sometimes in the back of the neck, people are very sensitive, and you don't want to be rubbing them raw. You know, it hurts. You know, I know. I've had barbers cut my hair like that, like the back of your neck, square, square. So we want just a regular square, right? So I'm gonna come around the back, and I'm gonna get the shape of his head, right? You ever seen like when a jet, you know, I was in the Navy for 10 years. When a jet comes down, it's called a touch and go. You don't want to burn rubber, you don't want to burn rubber on the back of his neck, right? Touch and go. That's what I'm going to call it. That's a good one on Kev. I need a patent now. You cool down there, you? No discomfort? See, gotta talk to them while they're down there, because a lot of times, like these machines, they give them to me, and so I always have like a new machine when I come, and, you know. So that's why I'm asking. Gotta get up in there, get all that out, and you're gonna see the reason why I left this unfinished right now, the haircut, is because I'm going to show you the importance of creating solid straight lines even within a haircut that's not so great. It's going to make a world of difference. Watch.
Do you go in with your scissors too?
What's that?
Do you go in with your scissors too?
Yeah, I'm going to do that after. And you don't want to give them the white wall tires either, right? You know what white wall tires are? You ever seen the old school cars, the old bombs and stuff like that? And they got the tires with the big white walls all around them. You don't want to have your guy walking around out and he has a big white wall. You know what I mean? On his ear, you know? You don't want that. It's not a good look. You know? All right, check it out. Can you tell the big difference just within the straight line, how that makes it look?
Yeah.
Right? Just that straight line right there. The haircut's not even finished. He's all choppy. He's not even there yet, right? So I'm gonna do the exact same thing, and then I'll clean it up right here on the side also, just to take it down, just so we can define that line a little bit more. A lot of this stuff you're gonna have to train your hands again. When I first started, because I've cut hair for a long time now, not just, you know, not just in the shop, but in the neighborhood. Like when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of money. You know, I grew up with 17 other kids in the house. Hard to believe, right? 17. That's it, all right? My folks didn't have believe in TV or anything like that. Hardcore Catholic, right? Catholics, they were Catholic. But yeah, you know, there were 17 of us, you know, in a 3-bedroom house. So I mean, not all at once, but you know, all together, all the kids, there's 17 of us. Now I made his little outline over there on the side. Let's see, yeah, see, just cleaned it up a little bit. It's not perfect yet, but that's all right. You don't want to sit there and fret on the little details, because you know what's going to happen if you sit there and you start worrying about, oh, I need to make this. You're going to end up right there and you're going to cut shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter. And remember, you can take it off, but you can't put it back on, right? Some of you might be asking yourselves, it's like, hey, how do you determine where that line is, right? Where his natural line is. So right here where I'm looking, right here where I'm looking, I can see his natural hairline popping out through the overgrowth. Can you see that? See how it's darker underneath? And it's a perfect line.
To help answer that question on how to calibrate the length with using the comb, somebody asked it over there. The longer you cut, the stronger your hands become. And you start to use the back of your finger and the scalp as a gauge. But using your hand as a brace and really creating that strength helps you figure out your lengths and whatnot. And one of the things that you guys have on barbers is you guys finger wave. You guys like to finger wave? No. Okay, so listen to this. Finger waving not only is a style, whether you think it's outdated or not, it comes back here and there and you see it dry, wet, you see it. But it's an exercise. It's a hand exercise, okay?
Yeah. And
And that's all we do is use our hands all day. So if you want weak hands, don't finger wave.
Yeah. So he used to make me do all these things, and I asked him, Mama, why are you doing me like that? And he said, he told me, he said, you know what, Chris? Because you're not the type of person that gives up, and I know you were going to be better than all those other guys that didn't want to learn. And I was like, you know what? And now when I didn't realize it at first what he was saying, but once I stopped, you might not like it at first, but you know what? It'll make sense come later on. Okay, so now I'm starting in the back. Now the back is kind of difficult, you know what I mean? Because if you're not like me, you're like a little lopsided, you know what I mean? I'm like that, so I got to kind of gauge. So the way I do it is, I go with the blade right here, right? So I have the blade, and I start in the middle. And then I come, and then I work my way out. Just stay right there where you're standing at. And these little things, standing, lift your head up. Standing there for 15-20 minutes trying to make a line is not very not a very efficient thing to do, especially when you got a shop full of clients, right? So you should just be able to knock that line out just straight. It's not for the head.
It's more of like a rounded out square.
Yes. Because if you do it perfectly circular, it's gonna look kind of funny, you know? Because people's heads aren't shaped that way, you know? So right now, like I'm doing, I'm going ahead and I'm cleaning up all around the hairline, you know? You gotta be a pro, clean as you go, as was taught to me by my teacher. All this stuff right here doesn't matter, it'll get taken care of after, right? Remember, every minute that you spend on this is eating into your time, right? Now I'm not saying rush it. Don't rush it. Don't ever rush it. But if you're going to be sitting there taking your time, you better be getting paid for it. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying, oh, you should be. I'm telling you right now, as a professional, as somebody coming into the field, you better be getting paid for it. That's an order. You know what I mean? I'm not taking no, maybe, no. Do it. You know what I mean? Because you know what? That mom and pop stop with all the unlicensed activity going on there is trying to rob you. They're taking money from you. I've got his basic hair shape down, right? So now what I like to do is I like to wet his hair. The reason why I do the clipper first, some people like to cut the hair on the top first. I personally prefer to do the clipper work first because what happens when you start cutting hair with wet hair, it sticks to people and it's very uncomfortable. So you don't want an uncomfortable client sitting in your chair, especially while you're trying to knock something out, you know. So you can do it either way. Like Kev said, there's more than one way to skin a cat. So I'm looking at his hairstyle right now and he's giving me a little free range to do what I want to do. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wet the hair, not soaking wet, but evenly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to part it. Now what I do is I tell him, comb it forward, pick a line, wherever suits you. And his hair will kind of just dictate that, especially when it comes to partings, especially when it comes to side parts, right? Mm-hmm. Because his hair naturally wants to part right there. I saw it as soon as I started cutting his hair, and I said that's where the part's going to be. He has a little remolino. What is that called?
The cowlick.
The cowlick, yeah. Yeah, it's a little cowlick, and that's where, you know, just where your hair starts to go in a different direction, right? But I like to get it as straight as possible, you know. It's not going to be perfect, but it, you know, yeah, it's going to be perfect. So, I'm not even going to say what to do. I like to start and sweep, and I start, some people work from top down, I work from bottom up, right? So start from the bottom, and then I get up to, you know, his hair length right here. The way I start, now that I've got this, remember we've got that little guideline right here, right? Mm-hmm. Men's hair cutting styles are not like women's. You got to understand, this is one of the things that you have to understand. In men's hair cutting, the lines are straight, square. When you look at somebody that was in the military, flat top, bald head, crew cut, it's a display of masculinity, you know what I mean? Soft feathery hair, stuff like that. You know, it's female, it's soft, it's feminine. It's just, I'm not saying it's either right or wrong, you know what I mean? I know like a lot of, you know, feminists like, whoa, you know, this and this and that. We're not here to argue on that, right? We're talking about what's going on right here, right now, and how things are, right? So, with him right now, he came in with the wispy hair, but we're gonna give him a more streamlined haircut, right? So we've got that guide right here along his thing, and this is where I said the rest of the haircut is just going to kind of fall into place, right? Because now I'm going through and I'm using my shears. Remember, your shears right here, these things right here, invest in them. Get good shears. Don't get those little Pac-Man shears where it's going to be all, you know, choppy and stuff like that. Get good shears because you're going to notice the difference. I left my shears at home the other day and I had to use my backups, and I was like, crunch, 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 and it's like, geez, dude, like, don't forget them. Invest in good shears because they're going to be your money makers. This right here is where it's at. When you walk into an old school barber shop, they're making those shears sing. It's like music. You know what I mean? And that's how you tell. A lot of times people are like, well, you know, I don't cut that kind of hair. It's like shears or it, man. Yeah, I've seen guys, you know what I mean? I use shears on hair like his. You know what I mean? And people are like, nobody's ever used scissors on me. It's like, because, you know, maybe you shouldn't go to them. You should come back and he's still with me. You know? So, I'm going to come right here. And I'm just going to go straight up right now. Right now I'm going straight up. I'm not worried about anything else. I'm going straight up. You see all that? That's hanging out? Mm-hmm. It's coming off. Follow it back. I'm going just all around. Can anybody tell me what area of the head this is? You're teaching me. So right now I'm just moving all along the head.
Was I right, Nazali?
What's that?
Claudia, did you mean the bangs?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now.
He did bring those back
Yeah,
so that
it's because of the
he
parting
got
of your
into
hair.
here.
Yeah.
As you're learning, you could do subsections with that. You don't want to over direct because over directing will give you length. So
That-
do small subsections.
Yeah, like I
vertically.
said.
He'll cross check everything.
Yeah.
So it's just
So now I've got
quicker.
all this. I've got to even this out right here. So you see when I'm coming up, like remember what I told you about everything that I'm cutting is going straight in line with this bottom piece. It's coming straight up, right? They pull the hair down to the front.
Yeah.
And they cut across, right? That's one way you could do it. You could do it that way. The way that I do it is like this. I turn them to the side, and I'm gonna follow this right here. Remember that guy that I have? I'm gonna follow it and come up. So his head shape, the hair is going to be like this, longer in the front, right? So because guys don't like short bangs. And then remember what I was saying, you're also keeping in mind the shape of the head. Right here, what is this called?
Apex.
Crown.
Apex, right? Crown is top area around here. So this is the apex, this is the occipital. So right here, this is the apex, this is the high point of the head. It's the highest point. So where do you go from up? From the high point, it only goes down, right? So look at right here, where that area is. So if I pull it down and I cut it, I'm over directing this hair back here to the front, cutting straight across, and this hair right here is going to be shorter, right? And that's never a good look. You saw Beyonce's bangs, right? Right? I saw them. I don't even follow that, and I saw them. So, you know, you don't want to be looking like that, you know, and the guy doesn't want to either. He wants to be able to go out, and that's it. So, right here, you see that? Straight up. Straight up. I'm coming right here. I'm bringing all the hair. All the hair. And I'm coming straight down the middle. Straight down the middle. And I'm kind of just working with it, right? So, that's it. And then I'm leaving the top. Right now, is I'm working with the natural length of the hair because I don't want to take a lot of it off. So I kind of just went like that, you know, to build it up. Now this is going to be long over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up, I'm going to bring it up right here. And you're going to see where the length is, right? See right there? All that's coming off. A little shorter. It's fine. Right there. And if you're not sure, just keep combing until you find it.
The guideline?
Yes. Keep combing until you find that guideline. You're going to find it. Right now, what we're doing is we've established that mohawk guideline, and it's coming straight across now. Straight across. Now, we've got to keep in mind, like I said, you know, this isn't no textbook stuff. I'm always keeping in mind is that I've cut this right here now and I've cut this, right? So that's gonna leave this long. Now we're getting from A to B, and now we're gonna connect right here. So I'm gonna comb it back all over to the side. I'm gonna comb it all to the side. And this is where you start getting that over direction, pulling this over to here, right? So I see where I cut before and I see everything that's in between it, right? Right here to right here. There's my guideline right there, and here's my other guideline. This is what's sticking out. Now, when you're moving through the hair, remember, the head is bending right here, right? So you're gonna have to kind of work with that angle. Not, what is it, 90 degrees? 90 degrees takes on a lot of different shapes within the head. I'm talking about 90 degrees from the scalp. 90 degrees is going to be 90 all around, right? All around. So this is going to be 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90, 90. And that's where it gets kind of confusing, you know? That's why I say work with the head shape. So, come up. And you see, like when I move, like it's not that I'm moving fast. It's just I can see exactly where I need to cut now. You know, you got all these guidelines now, and now what we're doing here is connecting the dots, right? So, a very important thing that you always need to do when you're cutting men's hair is cross-checking, because he's gonna go home, and men, whether they want to admit it or not, they're going to notice inconsistencies within their hair because their hair is shorter. Everything pops out. I can't hide a flaw in his hair like I can do with layers, right? I can't do it because it pops out. His hair is short, right? So, I'm going to comb it over. So we went back, around, from the bottom up, right? So now what I'm doing is I'm standing on the side again. Keep combing it out. And now I'm moving. It looks almost straight. See, right there, bam, off. Right there, bam, off. Off. You know? Comb it back, get it all straight. That way you know what you're working with. See all that? Off. And if it doesn't need to be cut, don't cut it. Can't fix what's already, what ain't broken, right? So, I'm going to come back just a little bit right there. Just keep moving. Back up, right? You don't got time to be picking up combs. So you got an assistant for, or whoever. In the barber shop, we have assistants, right, Kev? Is he gone again?
He's not
In the barber shop, we have assistants, you know? And that's one of the things you guys should be doing right now, is getting out there into the field and asking if you can assist right now while you're cutting, while you're learning, you know? Okay? So I've got pretty much the basic shape of the head, right? These shears right here make very short work of what I've got to do, right? They're long, and it's going to cover the width of my comb. See that? I'm making very full use of everything within my arsenal, right? People, whenever I go into, when I started at my new shop, people were like, why do you have so many combs? You look at my thing and I have a mountain of combs. I have boxes and boxes of combs because I don't stop and wash them. Every time someone sits in my chair, I have a new set of combs for them. And then at the end of the day, I send my guy, I give him whatever it is I give him for the day, and that's it. Or the girl, whoever it is that's working it. All evened out. So we're just going to move up. And it's just like the same, like when we did with our fingers, but instead of using our fingers, we're using our comb now to find those guides. So, I'll face it this way. This is a little bit deeper. So I'm going to come up. And you're not, remember, you're not cutting any length off. You're evening it out right here, right? Don't go in there and start grunt, grunt, grunt. What you're doing is you're taking your time and you're finding those little inconsistencies within the haircut. And you know what? It's the easiest thing to do in the world, isn't it?
I think the most difficult part of our industry when you're first starting is is trying to figure out what specific haircuts are supposed to look like when they're done. I think once you establish what razor fade all the way up to long layers is supposed to look like when it's done, you can look at what you're working at and say, okay, I'm not done yet. This doesn't look right. Then you go back in and then you use all your tricks. Shear-over-comb, cross-checking, etc., etc. So when I ask you guys, how do you stay motivated? What are you guys following? Look into things. Look for pictures. Keep like a lookbook for yourself. It helps out so much. You do a variation of this, not the same thing because your hair texture is different, etc., etc. But it really helps out, you know, especially for barbering because they give me a high, a low, a medium, this and that, and this and that. I don't know all this, you know. Get pictures. It helps out.
Yes. He's very common anymore, you know? Right? So, you know, there's a lot of different ways you could take it, but you know what? All you gotta do is sit here and work on yourself. That's the only thing you can change. Once you realize that, you're a lot better off. Never stop, like Kev said in the beginning, never stop growing. And this is pretty much what we ended up with. Hi, my name is Chris. I'm with Industry Standard. Right now we're trying to promote a class at Jazzy Beauty Supply in Uptown Whittier. The address 12825 Philadelphia Street, Whittier, California 90601. The phone number is 562-698-2900. We're offering classes that are going all the major haircuts that are out there in the industry today, from razor fades to flat tops to side parts, faux hawks, anything that you can name, we do it. We have been in the industry right now combined for almost 20 years of experience in high-end barbershops throughout Southern California. We are on Instagram at Industry Standard EDU at Instagram.com.
Looks good.
Thank you.